everyone, welcome back to Talking History. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Liz, and on this channel I do exactly as the channel is called. I talk about history. So every week I upload a new video on a different figure from history. I have plans to talk about battles. I have so many future videos lined up. But for today's video, Edgar the Peaceful. Edgar was born around 943. He was the youngest son born to Edmund I and Alfgifu of Shaftesbury. When Edgar was around a year old, his mother passed away, so Edmund sent him to live in Mercia with Ealdorman Ethelstan, half-king, and his wife Alfwin. And it was there he received an education by Ethelwald, who was Abbot of Abingdon, who was also a very good friend of St Dunstan, or Bishop Dunstan at the time. Then in the year 957, at the age of 14, Edgar was given the title King of Mercia, after Mercia and Northumbria had renounced their allegiance to Edgar's brother Edwy, who was demoted to King of Wessex. Then 2 years later, in the year 959, Edgar was pronounced King of all England. And one of the very first things he did as the newly appointed king was to bring Bishop Dunstan out of exile. And from there, the two worked together with rebuilding the monasteries that the Vikings had destroyed. So the monasteries was given extensive lands, and one of the very first monasteries to be rebuilt was Winchester Cathedral, and Edgar had anointed Ethelwald as bishop. Even though Edgar had gotten off to such a strong start as king, way better than his brother Edwy had, he was still ruffling feathers, especially of the nobles, because of the amount of money and lands that was being given to the monasteries. Edgar, as I said, even though he was getting off to a strong start as king and he was a stronger leader as a king, but he did appear to be a lot like his brother when it came to the ladies. Shortly after becoming king, he fell for a beautiful woman who was the daughter of a nobleman from Andover who Edgar was staying with at the time. Edgar had demanded that her parents sent their daughter to him and his room that night. Completely shocked by Edgar's demands, they sent a young maid in her place. The following morning, when the maid got up early so she won't be late for her duties, is when Edgar clocked what had happened. So instead of going, well, no man, I had me little night of fun, I better get on, I got a country to run. No, he didn't do any of that. He was so angry at what they had done that he confiscated their land. Edgar was also reportedly to have been handsome, a lot like his brother was, and he was also reported to have been small in stature and height. And he was only around 5 feet tall, which was considered short even in medieval times. And William of Malmesbury had recorded on Edgar's slightness of height and build. And he had also reported that at a banquet, King of Scots, Kenneth, had jokingly said how it seemed extraordinary to him that such celebrations should be held by such a sorry little fellow. In the year 960, Edgar married Ethelflad, who was the daughter of a Hertfordshire nobleman, Ordmer. They don't make it easy, and it's not, my pronunciations ain't getting any better. He was known to Edgar's foster father, Ethelstan Half-King. Edgar had begun an affair with Wulfrith in the year 962, and Wulfrith was a nun. It's unclear whether she had actually taken her vows as but this caused great scandal, and St Dunstan had condemned Edgar from wearing his crown for 7 years, and he was also reportedly having to fast twice a week. After the death of Edgar's wife Ethelflad in 963, Edgar had wanted to marry Wulfrith, who had given birth to their daughter Edith, but Wulfrith refused the proposal, and she went on to become abbess of Wilton along with their daughter by her side. But it soon became quite clear that Edgar wasn't disappointed for too long, as he soon heard about a beautiful woman named Alfrith, who was the daughter of Devonshire Thane Ordgar. See, why can't they make it easy for me? Edgar had desperately wanted to know what this mysterious, beautiful woman looked like. So he sent his foster brother, Ethelwald, to go and find out. Ethelwald had found this mysterious girl and fell madly in love with her, and they secretly married. Edgar had soon discovered about the marriage, and he invited Ethelwald out hunting for the day in Hereward Forest in Hampshire. And it was during the hunt that Ethelwald was accidentally killed. It was suggested that Edgar had killed Ethelwald out of pure spite and jealousy. Less than a year later, in the year 964, Edgar married Alfrith, who was his foster brother's widow, and in 966, Alfrith gave birth to their son, Ethelred, who would become known as Ethelred the Unready. By the year 973, Edgar had been king for 14 years, and he was only 30. England was now a stable and a respected kingdom. And to mark a new era of the Anglo Saxon kingship, Edgar had staged an elaborate double coronation ceremony. The first ceremony took place in Bath, where he was pronounced King of England. From Bath, Edgar then marched north to Chester, where he held court in a palace in a place that is now known as Edgar's Field near the Dee Bridge in Hanbridge. He was then met by 8 sub-kings of Britain who had been summoned. Among those were Kenneth, King of Scots, who had remarked about Edgar's shortcomings, and his son Malcolm, and the King of Cumbrians, Marcus, and several kings of different isles. So Edgar was rowed up the River Dee by the 8 sub-kings to the monastery of St. John the Baptist, and there in attendance was a group of nobles as a demonstration of the power of Wessex. The entire occasion was to represent the assertion of Saxon supremacy over the Celts of England, Scotland, and Wales. Throughout Edgar's reign, there was no recorded battles or invasions. Edgar had kept peace with the Scandinavian population in the north by allowing them to continue with their own customs and laws. There was stability and prosperity during Edgar's reign. However, it didn't seem to stop Edgar from having a very large naval fleet, which consisted of up to 4,000 ships. But this was there should there be any invaders who attempted to attack the now peaceful kingdom. Edgar had also had a new currency created. He was also keen to make royal administrations more effective. Edgar had reorganized England into counties or shires, which he then split again into hundreds. Edgar also had his wife, Alfrith, I keep getting this wrong woman, Alfrith, crowned as Queen Consort at Bath Abbey on the 11th of May in 975. And this became precedent for future queens. She was the first. So in 975, that already she made history. Edgar became known as Edgar the Peaceful. This was a testimony to his strengths as a leader in achieving lasting peace rather than a weakness. As a warrior king, never fighting in a battle. King Edgar the Peaceful died on the 8th of July in 975, aged only 32. He was buried at Glastonbury Abbey. Edgar was succeeded by his son, who he hadn't acknowledged as his heir, which was Edward the Martyr, who would become known as Edward the Martyr. And that's for another future video. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do give it a thumbs up because it really helps my little channel, and please do subscribe as it will help my teeny tiny channel grow so I can reach more people. But between now, look after yourselves. I'll see you all soon. Bye.